What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. We are going to continue our coverage over Secret Invasion, and I'm talking about the 2008 version, not the 2023 version that Marvel has given us to go along with the Disney Plus series that is currently happening at the moment. Now, we have been covering a lot of different things when it comes to this event. We have been covering the main storyline and even some of the tie-ins as well. Now, if you're wondering what Secret Invasion is all about, it is really a storyline about Marvel trying to do some alien invasion with the Skrulls. The Skrulls are an alien race that have the ability to shapeshift. They use that ability to pull off a full-on secret invasion by going around kidnapping people and then replacing the people that they have been kidnapping with one of them. Then they pretend to be those people as a way to weaken the earth and to hopefully take over the earth. And so for today's video, we're going to cover some more tie-ins. Now, these tie-ins actually come from the Iron Man series. Wait, I forgot. The title was changed to Iron Man Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Wait, I forgot again. They changed the title another time to War Machine Weapon of S.H.I.E.L.D. That is the title of this series. Yes, guys, I am not playing around. Back in 2004, Marvel launched an Iron Man series. And of course, it did go through some different Marvel events. Like, for example, Civil War. Now, after Civil War, they changed the title of this book into Iron Man, Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. But right around Secret Invasion, they then changed the title once again to War Machine, Weapon of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, here's the big catch, because after this storyline right here, they then changed the title back to Iron Man, but gave War Machine his own book. Like, literally, that is a crazy thing to do. And so for this one storyline, they had called it War Machine, Weapon of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then after that, gave War Machine his own actual book. But for today's video for Secret Invasion, we are going to cover the tie-ins of this storyline that kind of tell us what happened to War Machine while the invasion was going on when it comes to the planet Earth. Now, the opening pages of this book does give us a small recap of what happened in the earlier parts of the main storyline of Secret Invasion. Because when the heroes actually found out that the Skrulls were doing a full-on invasion, one of the things the Skrulls did was remove Iron Man from the equation, because they know if Iron Man is able to move freely when it comes to this war between the humans and the Skrulls, Iron Man could really help take out the Skrulls just like that. It would be over very quickly. And so what they did was they were able to actually hack into Iron Man's system. And when it comes to Iron Man, he used the same system for almost everything he had created on Earth. That means things he made for S.H.I.E.L.D., things he made for Avengers Tower, and also his armor as well. And so with Tony Stark's system being completely fried, everything he made has now become useless. It's the Skrulls removing Iron Man off the board so that they have a better chance to actually win this invasion. Now, there is a very good reason why I'm telling you guys this right now. And the reason why, because the big question is, what about War Machine? Because let's not forget, Tony Stark was the one who had created War Machine's armor for James Rhodes. And so right now, the big question is his armor also infected by this alien virus that's shutting down everything Iron Man had technically made that is connected to Iron Man's system? And of course, when it comes to War Machine's system is not connected to Iron Man's new system that he built for everything else around the world that he had created. And so that gives War Machine the ability to actually move freely. Now, with that being said, you do have Iron Man tell War Machine, listen, if you're getting this message, that means two things. One, I have died, or two, I can no longer connect with you, and an alien invasion has happened right now, and my system has been compromised. Because this is Tony Stark really trying to be like Nick Fury. And what I mean by that is, because Iron Man was the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., he had to be prepared for anything to happen down the road. And so right now, this book right here is telling us Iron Man thought about the idea of an alien invasion happening, but on top of that, taking over his computer system. And so right now he's saying, listen, listen, War Machine, I need you to follow directions. I'm giving you a location to go to. Please go to that location, and I will tell you more once you arrive at that location. Now, because War Machine is able to move freely, you do have Hank Pym freak out. Now, let's not forget, this is not Hank Pym. Because we learned in the earlier parts of our coverage over Secret Invasion, Hank Pym was one of the many heroes that was actually replaced by the Skrulls. And so right now, this is a Skrull pretending to be Hank Pym. Now, this fake Hank Pym realized that War Machine is not shut down. And the reason why he's freaking out, because he knows his fellow Skrulls had released the alien virus into Tony Stark's system, and they thought that War Machine should also be shut down, but he is not. And so you have War Machine leave because Tony Stark told him, listen, if you're getting this message, I have died, or an alien invasion happened, and right now my system has been compromised. But I need you to go to a particular location, but make sure you're not followed or you tell anybody at all. And so you do have War Machine leave. Now, when he does leave, the fake Hank Pym realized something is wrong. War Machine should be offline. And so he does tell other Skrulls to follow War Machine and make sure he cannot become a problem down the road. And so we do jump over to War Machine right now, flying away and trying to go to that particular location that Tony Stark told him to go to. Now, here's the thing though. By this point in Marvel Comics, we already had Civil War. And because of Civil War, there was a new law. Now, with that new law, it said if you're going to be a hero in America, you must register and work under the American government. Now, with that being said, though, when it comes to War Machine, he was actually training some new heroes who were going to be part of the 50-state initiative. Now, when it came to the 50-state initiative, it was kind of like this program where each state is going to have their own team of heroes to go after other heroes who are not trying to follow the new law. And so with that being said, War Machine was kind of getting ready heroes to go to their different states that they were assigned to. He was making sure that they were ready. He was their teacher. But now he feels very upset in the idea that he had to leave them behind to handle some kind of problem that he has no idea about. But when he flies in the sky, that is the moment he realized, oh, I see, there is a full-on alien invasion happening all over the earth. Okay, yeah, this is why I am needed. I am War Machine, a weapon to be used to kick some butt. And so you do have War Machine fight against a bunch of Skrulls and their ships as well. Now, when it comes to War Machine, at first, he does feel a tad bit confident because he's winning the battle right now that he is in against these Skrulls in the sky until he meets a Super Skrull. And let's not forget what a Super Skrull actually is, because when it comes to a Super Skrull, they are really important for this storyline. And the reason why, because they are able to copy the powers of different characters from the planet Earth. Let me explain. The first Super Skrull we met was back in the early days of Fantastic Four, where that Super Skrull had all the powers of the Fantastic Four. And so when it comes to this invasion right here, you have Super Skrulls all over the earth, and each of them have a different set of powers that they have copied from different characters from the planet Earth. And so right now for War Machine, this is his first time actually dealing with a Super Skrull. I mean, he did in the past, but for right now, he's realizing that there's more than just one. there's a full-on army of Super Skrulls around the Earth that are right now causing damage left and right. But either way, this is War Machine remembering that Tony Stark told him to go to a particular location. And so right now, you have War Machine going ahead and dealing with all these Skrulls that he's surrounded by so that he now has a clear path to go to that location that Tony Stark told him to go to. And so we do see War Machine actually go to the location that Tony Stark told him to go to. Now, when War Machine goes to that location, he does find a satellite base. Now, this is huge. And the reason why, because Tony Stark did build this satellite base, but it's heavily cloaked, which means that if War Machine wants to hide inside this satellite base, it would be the perfect hiding spot because other people will be unable to actually find it, and that gives War Machine time to think about his next steps. Now, here's the big thing though, because as soon as he gets on the spaceship, that is the moment he's confronted by Susie Endo. Now, when it comes to Susie Endo, she's from the 1990s, and she was part of a series known as Force Works. Yes, that was a superhero team name. And matter of fact, that was Iron Man's team. Now, Susie comes from, I forgot what country, but she was part of Tony Stark's company, the East Division, over in Asia somewhere. Either way though, when it came to her character, she was saved by Force Works, and then Iron Man brought her over to America. Now, she was arrested after Civil War, and the reason why, because she did not know about the new law. And so when she came back to the US, she had no idea that if you're going to be a hero, you have to register. And of course, she had no idea she was arrested. Now, because she had no idea, they did send her back over to China. But here's the thing. The reason why she's on this base right now in space is because she also got the message as well from Tony Stark. And that right there is very huge. But the problem is though, while you have the two characters right now on this satellite base, you have the message from Tony Stark continue to play more information for War Machine to listen to, and also Susie as well. The problem though, at the end of the message, you have Tony telling War Machine, you may not trust anybody at all because I only gave this message to you. And that right there tells War Machine, wait a second. If Tony's telling me right now in this message that the message was only meant for me, that means that Susie could be a Skrull, because why in the world would she be here if Tony just said the message was only for me? And that was kind of like the main point when it came to Secret Invasion. Who can you trust? Because the Skrulls went around the earth kidnapping people, then replacing those people with Skrulls, and then had those Skrulls pretend to be the people that they had kidnapped. And so right now, it's War Machine wondering, is Susie right here the real Susie or possibly the fake Susie? Now, something else I forgot to mention is that when it comes to War Machine, in a previous storyline, he was heavily injured, like so bad that Tony Stark had to ask somebody to give War Machine some cybernetic body parts. And so James Rhodes right now is technically a cyborg, or half cyborg, half man. Either way, he is a cyborg right now, currently in this storyline. But the reason why he has to trust Susie right now, because she does tell him what she sees on the computer screen. And right now, it's waves of Skrulls who are heading towards the satellite base, because they follow War Machine to this satellite base. And so even though it was heavily cloaked, because they follow him, they now know where it's at. And of course, they want to take out the satellite base. Now, here comes the cool part of the storyline, because you have Susie tell War Machine that she did look around and she realized what Tony Stark did here when it came to this satellite base. It's kind of like an armor suit, meaning that it can transform into a huge Iron Man armor suit to be used in space. And this suit is only able to connect to War Machine's armor, which means that as soon as War Machine is connected to this satellite-based spaceship that can now turn into a huge Iron Man battle armor suit, he can now use that suit as a way to battle the Skrulls in this particular area in space. And so getting into the second chapter of this storyline, we do actually pick up with War Machine right now using the satellite base armor suit thing. I have no idea what to call this, but he does use what Tony Stark had built to fight against the army of spaceships that belong to the Skrulls. And honestly, this lasts for a couple pages in the second chapter, but is also showing how great of a fighter War Machine is. But on top of that, it shows his heart. And what I mean by that is, it's showing him right now telling himself that he is not going to give up, that he is going to keep pushing forward and on until he's able to actually win the battle, because he knows if he does give up, one, he'll die, but most likely innocent people are going to die because he gave up or he had lost. And so this is him right now telling himself, do not give up and keep pushing on. And so in the middle of the fight, you then have James Rhodes, our War Machine, actually think back to some different moments in his life. He has these flashbacks. Now, when it comes to these flashbacks, at first, it really shows him it really does show him being beat down by different groups of people. Now, at first, it seems like he was beat down because the skin of his color. Now, the second reason why he was beat down because he didn't act hood enough in his town. But then after that, he has other flashbacks where he just never gave up. And that's the point of these flashbacks. Even though he was beaten down, he got back up. Even though the odds were against him, he got back up. And that's the point of these flashbacks. Because when we jump back to the present day, it's him right now where it seems like he is being overrun, but he's not being overrun. He just keeps fighting on. He keeps pushing forward. He keeps getting back up. And that's the point of this entire section with those flashbacks as well. Now, with that being said, while he does take out a bunch of different spaceships that belong to the Skrulls, one does get away. And so with that, he does change back into his regular War Machine outfit. And by the way, because the regular War Machine outfit was inside this satellite base armor, it did get repaired, which means that his suit right now is completely repaired and fully charged to keep beating down on the Skrulls and their army of spaceships. And so he does follow after the one that got away, and then he makes sure to blow it up. But now the question is, what should he do next after being able to take out a bunch of ships that belong to the Skrulls? Now, because he was fighting in space, when he did go back down to Earth to blow up that last spaceship, he actually arrives in Russia. Because he was battling all over space, where he thought he was still over Manhattan, he's no longer floating over Manhattan, he's now floating over Russia. Now, when it comes to Russia, they're really big on, if you're not a hero from Russia, we don't want any kind of help at all from you. But either way, right now, they do need help, because right now the Skrulls are trying to attack a nuclear base in Russia. And if they get the nuclear bombs, that could lead to more problems for the heroes of Earth. And so right now, you have War Machine say, you know what, let me go ahead, go down to Russia to help out, because right now, that could lead to more problems down the road if those nuclear bombs are used against us humans. Now, here comes the problem when it comes to him going to Russia and actually trying to help out. Because when he arrives to fight against the Skrulls, you already had Russia release their superhero team known as the Winter Guard. And the Winter Guard, like I said, they're just a superhero team from Russia. But here comes the problem though, because as soon as War Machine arrives to help out the Winter Guard fight against an army of Super Skrulls, you do have Crimson Dynamo tell War Machine, you have to leave. Because I was just told by my director that we do not want any kind of help From S.H.I.E.L.D., you are America. And because we did not ask for help, you are technically breaking laws right now by entering in Russia illegally. So I need you to go ahead and fly away before I had to take you down as well. Now, War Machine is so surprised by that because right now the entire Earth is being attacked by the Skrulls. But he's kind of like, you know what? Fine. I am going to respect your wishes. I wish you guys the best of luck. Now, War Machine was going to go to Wakanda to help out Black Panther, but then he realized, listen, one, I'm in Russia right now already. I should stay here to help out Russia. Two, because right now their nuclear bases are being attacked. And three, no offense to Winter Guard fans out there, but it's the Winter Guard. And so when it comes to this invasion, Russia's chances of actually surviving this battle right now is very low. And so you have War Machine go back to help out Russia fight against this army of Skrulls to help out the Winter Guard. But like we saw earlier, when it comes to the Winter Guard, they were told earlier to tell War Machine to leave because right now he's here illegally. He should not be here at all. And so with that, you have Crimson Dynamo tell him again, you should leave. He's like, no, I'm going to stay. You need my help. Now, when War Machine does get overrun by a bunch of Super Skrulls, he does call out for help because the Winter Guard is there. But like I said earlier, Russia does not want any help from him, America, or S.H.I.E.L.D. And so when they see him being overrun by a bunch of Skrulls and they have the ability to actually save him, they tell him, nope, we warned you to stay away. And I was just told by my higher ups to leave you to die. And so the Winter Guard leaves War Machine there as they continue on to fight against the Skrulls in different parts of Russia. Now here comes the problem though, because while he was being overrun by the army of Skrulls, he was knocked out. But when he does wake up, he does not wake up in Russia. Matter of fact, he wakes up in a spaceship that belongs to the Skrulls. They technically took him off the battlefield, and right now they're trying to dissect him. Not dissect him, dissect him. I have no idea why I say dissect him. Either way, they're trying to cut him open to see inside his body to see how he works. Because right now, War Machine is technically a cyborg at this point in Marvel Comics. Once again, in the earlier storyline, he was badly injured and lost a lot of body parts. And so, of course, you had a friend of Tony Stark kind of give Jane Rhodes some upgrades. I say upgrades, I really mean more of cybernetic body parts. So technically upgrades because he's now a tad bit stronger without the armor on. Either way though, right now they're trying to break him apart. And so getting into the final chapter of today's storyline, we actually do pick up with the Skrulls right now, getting ready to cut open James Rhodes. Now, while they're about to do that right now, the Skrulls feel very confident that everything is going to be okay. And what I mean by that is, the Skrulls had removed James Rhodes from his War Machine armor, and so they feel like he shouldn't have any kind of weapons on him that could be used against them. On top of that, even though he is a cyborg right now, they still made sure that everything was turned off. Well, almost everything, because we kind of find out they forgot to turn off his eye beam, his laser beam from his eye. Because right when the Skrulls are about to cut him open, that is the moment he does use his eye beam on the Skrulls as a way to begin the process of escaping. And once he's able to break free, he does find his armor right in time before more Skrulls appear in the room. And you have War Machine being able to actually break free from being captured by the Skrulls. And so then we see James Rhodes actually go to Russia. Now, the reason why he goes back to Russia, because remember, when it came to the Skrulls, they were trying to use the nukes as a way to help them win the invasion. And so right now, it's James Rhodes saying, let me go back to Russia and help out Russia. Now, let's not forget, Russia told him earlier, we do not want your help at all. Not America, not S.H.I.E.L.D., not even you at all. We don't care how bad things get here. We do not want your help. You're in our country illegally. Now, he still goes back there because, again, if the Skrulls get their hands on those nukes, that'll be a lot of bad things for the human race down the road. Now, when he does arrive, he does expect the Winter Guard to not help him once again. But then you have the Winter Guard realize, you know what? Stop it. We should help him out. He left America, came to Russia to actually help us save our country. So why in the world are we being stubborn right now? And why in the world are we ignoring his help? Because right now, his help is very needed. And so you have Crimson Dynamo tell the rest of the Winter Guard, hey, heads up, guys. We're now going to ignore all orders from higher chains. And the reason why, because right now, War Machine needs our help. And he's been here helping us out left and right. So let's pay him back. And so you have the Winter Guard and War Machine actually team up. And they do take out a bunch of Skrulls left and right. Except one Super Skrull got left behind. And that Super Skrull is a problem. And the problem is that one of the Super Skrulls is turning into pure energy. Now, the reason why that is a problem, because with that Skrull turning into pure energy, when he explodes, he's going to cause a lot of damage to the area that he's in right now. And so War Machine knows that he has to take this guy out of here before Russia gets heavily wrecked by this explosion. Now, the problem is that, though, War Machine could most likely die if he stays too close to the Skrull that's been turned into pure energy. But War Machine wants to make sure that when he grabs the Skrull, it does get far, far away from Russia or any country at all in the area. And so he does fly up in the sky and really to space. And so when the Skrull actually explodes, we're left to believe that he died. That War Machine died as a hero by protecting Russia. But we already know he did not die because, like I said earlier in this video, after this storyline right here, they gave War Machine his own mini-series or solo series. Either way, he got his own book. And so that is the moment he comes back down and we realize that he is A-OK. And everybody celebrates, the Winter Guard celebrates, but not Russia military. Because as soon as you had War Machine come back down from space to show everybody that he was okay, he was confronted by some jets who are part of Russia's Air Force. And they tell him, hey man, listen, because you came into our country illegally, we're going to arrest you. And do not try to fight back because we'll make sure we bring everything we have to take you down because you came here illegally. Now, you do have Crimson Dynamo step in and say, no, let him go. Now, the way you have Crimson Dynamo get War Machine out of this situation is by saying that because the Skrulls have the ability to shapeshift and they have been going around kidnapping people and replacing those people with fellow Skrulls and then having those Skrulls pretend to be the people that they had kidnapped, you have Crimson Dynamo say, I believe our leader has been replaced by a Skrull. And so right now, we have no idea if it actually is our leader or it's actually a Skrull. Either way, for right now, we need to ignore orders and figure out if our leader is exactly our leader. And so that got War Machine out of Russia. And then this leads into War Machine's solo book, his brand new series after Secret Invasion. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.